So for the next 3 months, you gotta make this a routine. Alright, so let's come up with a plan together, right? Let's say this year is the year that you're finally going to become fluent in conversational English. So what are the things that you need to do daily to reach that goal? So if your goal is to become conversationally fluent, then you actually have to engage in a lot of conversations. So you can't really have this goal of becoming fluent without really doing any speaking exercises. So there are no shortcuts to this. It's pretty straightforward. Do a lot of speaking practice. So at this stage, you want to forget the writing practice, the reading practice, the listening practice is actually also pretty important, because in order for you to converse, to have a dialogue with someone, you also have to be able to listen. You have to have good listening skills, because if you don't listen, you can't understand what the other person is saying. Then you can't really have a dialogue. You will only have a monologue. So yes, take back the listening practice and maximize on the speaking. So I have talked a lot about maximizing your input, exposing yourself to a lot of English resources in many other videos. Feel free to check that out. But in this video, we're only going to talk about the output part, which is speaking. So the list that I show you in the beginning, these are a few things that you can do, and it's in the order of the lowest pressure to the highest pressure. Let's get into it one by one. First, talk to yourself. So this is by far the easiest thing that you can already start doing right this second. So the idea is basically just to speak to yourself with the goal of being comfortable hearing yourself speak in English. So if you're feeling a bit paralyzed, you don't really know what to talk about by yourself, I'm gonna give you a couple of lists here, and I'm gonna talk about it briefly one by one. First, to talk about yourself. This is also actually very important, because in many situations when you are, especially when you're meeting new people, you will always talk about yourself a little bit. Where you're from, where you grew up, how you grew up, or where you lived and all that. So it's good for you to practice this prompt, because it's something that is very relevant in everyday life, no matter where you live or who you're talking to, you know. So, well, maybe it matters a little bit, but you know, you get what I mean. This is something that will always come up, so it's good to master it. And then you want to talk about some things that you like to do in your free time, like your hobbies or your favorite pastimes, but try to talk about things that you enjoy doing besides scrolling through social media. You know, if you don't really have other things that you enjoy besides scrolling on your phone, then you really need to get new hobbies. And then you can maybe talk about your biggest heartbreak, maybe a more difficult period that you have to go through, an unwanted change, maybe losses, maybe like losing someone or something that was very meaningful to you. Then maybe you can talk a little bit about your dreams. You know, what does your ideal life look like if you had all, you know, if you had the choice to make it a reality? So a bit of dreams. And next, maybe related to that, you can talk about, what would I do if I had $1 million? How would I live my life differently if I had $1 million right now? And then lastly, something simple, you can talk about, you know, an embarrassing experience that you had, and then you can try to think about it, and then yeah, just start speaking out loud. Imagine that you are telling a story to someone, and then how would you tell this to them? So yeah, these are just some examples of topics that you can do to start speaking by yourself at home.
Hey guys, before we return to the video, I just want to tell you that ESA is now open for application. So if you are a professional or an expat who need to urgently speak English in your life, make sure that you check this out, because it's going to be super interesting. So go on the website, click apply now, and we will get in touch with you if you guys are a fit into this program. So back to the video and enjoy.
So the second thing that you can do, a level above that, is to start recording yourself, or here we're gonna call it vlogging. You would be surprised how uncomfortable it is to record yourself, to start speaking to the camera. Now, especially in a language that is foreign to you. So even for myself, I've been recording myself in front of the camera more or less once a week for the last 7 years. And sometimes I still feel a little bit nervous. I sometimes dread having to sit in front of the camera and hear myself talk, but it will get better over time the more you do it. So this is just a step more challenging than just talking to yourself freely. This time you can actually record yourself either with a camera, but the easiest thing that you can do is to start recording yourself on your phone. So what you want to do is to start recording yourself, try to talk to yourself between 1 to 5 minutes to start with, and then collect all of your videos either in one folder or just in one place on your phone. So what you can do is either save it on a folder in your gallery, or maybe you can upload it to Google Drive where only you can see. Or one of my favorite things to do is to record myself and upload it to a private account on Instagram where nobody follows me. So for me, I have a couple of private accounts on Instagram where I use it to just upload myself speaking in my target languages. And it's a nice way to have all of my videos talking in Spanish or French in one place, and I can kind of see my progress over the years. So have that. If you don't have it and you think this is a good idea, feel free to make a new account and then put all of your videos in that account. And make it private, so it's just going to be for you. Number 3, a level above recording yourself, is to actually find a conversational partner. So here you can do 2 things. You can either take the free approach or the paid approach. So for the paid approach, it's pretty straightforward. If you have some money to spare, I would suggest finding either a one-on-one tutor or a one-on-one conversational partner, either natives or non-natives, to get you to start feeling more comfortable having a dialogue with someone. And what kind of platform do you want to use? You can simply Google it by typing English conversational partners online free, or like one-on-one live lessons cheap, or one-on-one conversation partner English cheap. Like Google will do all of the search for you, and you can just choose. Usually these platforms, these marketplaces, they allow you to find native speakers to talk to between like 30 minutes to 60 minutes from all over the world. So it's really just, you have so many choices with different price range, and it's just, and then you can just take your pick. So if you do have some money, this would be the easiest thing for you to do. If you do not have the money and then you want to take the free approach, of course there are always ways to do that, but you have to do a little bit more work. You can do this by, let's say, going to Facebook groups or even WhatsApp groups if you have access to that, or even online places where you can find online communities, Reddit, wherever it is. You can just advertise yourself looking for an English speaking partner. Does anybody want to be my speaking partner? Of course, this can be a little frustrating because sometimes you don't get a response at all, or you get responses and they don't really follow up, So of course, this is the risk of not paying for a service, but it still works. Because learning a language, eventually you want to use it to communicate with other people, so you actually have to get to a stage where you're communicating with others. But beware, when you are looking for a conversational partner, try to push yourself to find a partner that does not speak your native language, so you feel a bit forced to speak in English. So if you speak in Bahasa Indonesia, don't look for Facebook groups belajar bahasa Inggris bareng, or like belajar bahasa Inggris online, because these Facebook groups are full of Indonesians, and in these communities the temptation of speaking in your native language would be very high. So here I suggest looking for Facebook groups that are international. So once you are at a stage where you're comfortable speaking one-on-one with your conversational partner, whether it's a tutor or just someone at your level, do not get too comfortable, because at this stage it's very easy to fall into the trap, and you can gain a false sense of fluency because you feel like, I feel comfortable with this person, that means I'm fluent. Not really. A lot of the times you are fluent speaking with this person because you feel comfortable with this person. But the real challenge comes when you actually find yourself in the real world speaking with a lot of strangers that you just meet on the street, where you don't feel comfortable at all. So do not get too complacent and fall into the trap of thinking, I am fluent. You need to vary your speaking practice, which leads me to the next point, and that is find a conversation group setting. So if you're comfortable with one-on-one, now let's do 1 to 3 people, or like 4 people in a group. Try not to have more than 4 people in your conversational group, because then the more people there are in one group, the less you get to speak. So the way for you to create your own group is quite the same as the point before. So you can just go on Facebook and advertise yourself, and you can just type, "Hi, I'm looking to create an English speaking group for 4 people, so I am looking for 3 more people to join my group, and we can speak weekly or bi-weekly through WhatsApp, through Zoom, or whatever." So this is something that you can do, but beware. So the biggest challenge in this stage is to actually assemble a group of people who are equally as willing to practice as you do, because sometimes a lot of people would just want to join, but they never show up, so that will be the challenge of the stage. But if you're actually lucky enough and you worked so hard to create this group, it would be a very nice supportive group to have to increase your confidence to speak in English in a group setting. And also, again, the same tip as the point before, make sure that you look for a group in international Facebook groups instead of Facebook groups in your country where people just speak the same language. So if you're Spanish, do not Google aprender inglés, but speak English, or like looking for conversational partner Facebook groups and all of that. So it's better that, if you want to create a group, assemble a group of, let's say, 4 people from different countries, so you can get exposed to different accents and different ways of speaking. You can even learn a little bit about their culture. So yeah, there you go. And the last stage is, of course, to really go out there and speak to natives or just real people that you meet on the street. However, this stage may or may not be possible depending on where you live. So if you happen to live in a more rural area or a small town where you don't really have access to English speaking groups, then you're just going to have to take advantage of online communities. But make sure that you look for communities where now it's no longer a community to learn English, but real communities in English where everybody uses English as a common language. So this could be like a gaming community or a book club or like networking group or whatever your hobby or interests are. So yeah, just because you do not have access to international communities in your city doesn't mean that you are cursed for life. You can always take advantage of online communities. But if you do live in a big city and you have access to international groups like expat communities, challenge yourself to go to these meetups and force yourself to start speaking English with real people, foreigners, in real life. I know it's easier said than done to get to this stage, but if you're really serious about taking your English speaking to the next level, this has to be done, because this is how you really practice your fluency muscle. You have to vary your speaking exercises from the lowest pressure setting to the highest pressure. That means speaking to yourself or speaking with native speakers and other people in groups. And that's how you can truly feel comfortable speaking in this language in different settings. So I'm gonna cut the video here because it's gone too long. I'm gonna upload the part 2 next week, and in the next video we're gonna talk about how to actually structure all of these 5 exercises and fit it in your calendar. How do you schedule these exercises that is fitting to your lifestyle? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something new from this video. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and also subscribe if you haven't already. Until then, take care, and I'll see you next week in another video. Bye!